Hey there Dev Squad, in today's video we're going to be showing you how to make a health bar inside of Unreal Engine. Hey there, my name is Luke, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at how we can create a health bar inside of Unreal Engine. We're going to be showing you how you can set up all of the variables and the functionality for a health system, along with showing you how to display that on the screen as a user interface widget. By the end of this video, you are going to be able to create a health bar with the functionality and even use your own custom assets to stylize that. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the video. Okay, so the very first thing that we need to do is set up a project inside of Unreal Engine. Now, if you already have a project set up, then you can follow along with this tutorial in your own project, so just go ahead and move over to the next timestamp. But for now, what I'm going to do is start off by opening up the very latest version of Unreal Engine that I've got available to me. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Library, and then I'm going to open up 4.26.2. However, you can open up any Unreal Engine version that you have. Once you've pressed that, it is going to take a couple of minutes to load. It always takes a little while the first time you open up, so don't worry if it does take a couple of seconds. But what we're going to do, pause the video and we'll see you in just a second when it's open. So with our Unreal Engine project browser open now, what we're going to do is create our project from here. Now, what I'm going to be doing, because I haven't got a project already, I'm just going to go down to the new project categories. If I have a project already, by all means you can just choose one from the top here. But I'm going to go down to games and then next, and then the example that I'm going to be using for this tutorial is the third person example. So having said that, I'm going to go over to third person, and then with this I'm just going to go ahead and press next. From here, we're going to be working with blueprints, so I'm going to choose the blueprint option here. However, this can also work with the C++ projects. We're going to set this to maximum quality, ray tracing if you like, and then whatever platform your game is targeted at, then you can choose desktop or mobile. Now, lastly, we are also going to include the starter content just to give us a couple of assets to work with. But most importantly, we're going to go down and we're going to choose the project location, and then we're going to set the project name. For the purpose of this video, or this series rather, I'm going to be giving this the name Dev Squad Course. And then I'm just going to go ahead and press create project, give it a couple of minutes, and then it's going to open up Unreal Engine and we can get started with our health bar. So the very first thing that I'm going to do now I'm inside of Unreal Engine is I'm going to be setting up the variable that is actually going to tell the engine just how much health the player has currently got. And then I'm also going to very quickly show you how you can reduce or increase that health, but most importantly, after that, we are going to be showing you how you can actually take that variable and display it on the screen as a health bar. So what we're going to do is we are going to go over and we're going to go into our content browser at the bottom. We are going to expand this, so show or hide the sources panel, and then we're just going to open up our character blueprint. Our character blueprint is going to contain all of the information related to the character, whether that be speed, energy, health. You can put all of that kind of information in there. In the case of this third person example, mine is located under third person BP, blueprints, and then we have got that in third person character. So just go ahead and double click on this to open it up. Okay, so now that we're inside of our character blueprint, let's go ahead and show you how you can create the variable for our health. To add a variable, it's really straightforward. First things first, you need to go over to the left hand side where it says variables. From here, we want to press the great big plus variable button, and then we're going to be giving this the name health, because this is where we're going to be storing our health data. Going over to the top right hand corner here, we can see we've got the variable name, which we've just set to health. What we've also got is our variable type, which is incredibly important. With this, we need a type of variable that can actually store numerical data. But not only that, we might also want to work with floats, or we do need to work with floats because that is the kind of data that the health bar is going to be expecting later on. Now, a little rundown on some of the different types of variables we've got available to us. We have got the Boolean, which is a true or false value. We have got the integer, which is simply just a number. And then we have got the float, which is a number, but it can also accept decimal places. So having said that, we are going to be going with the float. Don't worry about the rest of these settings here. But what we do need to do is down here under the default value, it does say please compile the blueprint. So press the compile button in the top left hand corner. Now with this, what we can do is set the default variable, or the default value rather, of this float. Now if you want the player to have 100 health by default, then you might want to set this to something like 100. If you want them to start with half health, you might want to set this to 50. So this is your way that you're going to be able to change the default value for the player for their health. Now I'm just going to leave it at 100 there for now. So we've got our data. We've got our data in terms of the engine is going to know what the player's health currently is. What I need to do now is show you how you can actually increase or decrease the player's health if you need to. And this is something we're going to be touching up on a lot more closely as we start getting into Unreal Engine. So what I'm going to do is get some space. Now with this health variable, what I can do is if I go to health, drag and drop it in here, I can either get it or set it. If I get it, it is just going to get the value of health. If I set it, it is actually going to allow us to change the value of health. So we're going to use set. And with this, into this, what I can do is I can feed in a little bit of data to replace the health value with. So let's say I wanted to add some more health. What I'd do is get a reference to health, and then I could use the function health plus health, or because it's actually a variable, we need to do the variable type, so we could do float plus float, and we could add on 1 to the health and then hook it up into our set, which is going to set our health to health plus 1. Nice and straightforward there. Let's say we wanted to decrease the health, then we can do that too. So all we have to do is go to health and do float minus float, and then we can take away whichever value that we want. So that's really straightforward, and we will be using this as we start creating some more stuff inside of Unreal Engine. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to the piece that you guys are looking forward to, which is creating the health bar. To do that, what we're going to do is do this in 2 stages. First things first, we are going to be setting up the functionality and the components of getting this health bar on the screen. And then what we're also going to be doing is going through and showing you how to style your health bar using custom assets. And these custom assets you should already have available to you through our website, and you should have a little assets folder, which you can see I've got here. But we'll come back to that. So what we're going to do then is, first things first, we are going to need somewhere to contain our health bar. And generally we keep this as part of the heads up display, which in Unreal Engine would be a user interface widget. So what I can do is go anywhere in my content browser, right click, go to user interface, and I can create a widget blueprint here. So this is just going to be graphical information with code tied to it. This is where we're going to be building that health bar. I'm going to be giving this the name HUD, which stands for Heads Up Display. Going to press enter, and then what I'm going to do is open this up, and we can explore these user interface widgets. And now in here, what we're going to need for our health bar is one important thing, and that is our progress bar component. And we can access this over in the top left hand corner. Now if you can't see this, you might be in the graph view. So you can switch between the graph view, which is where you're going to be doing all the programming, or we can go to the design view where we're going to be editing the design of this. So switch between the two of these as you need to. Make sure you're in this design view, and then what we're going to do is grab our progress bar, and then we're just going to drag and drop this into my user interface here. Nice and simple. Okay, so the very first thing that we're going to change about this progress bar is some of the details which can be viewed on the right hand side here. Now we've got access to a whole bunch of different settings such as size, percentage, style, and all of that good stuff. But the very first thing that we want to do in here is change the name. So we're going to go to the top of the details panel here. We're going to give this the name health bar. And then with this done, what we're then going to do is just in our design view, we're going to place it wherever we want it to. So what we're going to do is use the reference for this. So if you come out of Unreal Engine for a second, go to your assets folder, what we're going to be doing is just opening up our health bar reference. And if you open this up, your health bar is going to look like this. So we want our health bar just simply in the bottom left-hand corner of our screen. So let's go back to Unreal Engine and do that. Open up your heads-up display widget here, and then we're just going to place this roughly into the bottom left here. Then what I can do is I can scale this as I need to, just like that. With that done, because we always want this to stay in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, what we're going to do is we are going to go down and go to our anchors in the details panel. And then we're going to anchor this to the bottom left-hand corner so it always stays down there regardless of the screen resolution that the user is currently using. With that done, the next thing we're going to do is look at our percentage. So if we turn this up or down, you can see that this bar is going up or down accordingly. And what we need to do from here is we actually need to be able to feed that health value into this percentage option that we've got here. And that's really straightforward. And we'll do that in just a second. But the first thing we want to look at is our bar fill type, if this is something you want to look at. Now, if you want it to go from left to right, click this, choose the option left to right. If you want it to go from right to left, then choose that option. It's entirely up to you. So let's use left to right. I'm going to leave the percentage to 0 by default. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get started working on the programming to bring this functionality to life. So what we're going to do is create a binding next to our percentage here. So percent, create binding. And what we can do now is we can actually take some code and apply it to that variable or the percentage that we've got here. So we can actually take a variable that we created earlier on, the health variable, and we can actually link it dynamically so it automatically updates in here, which is perfect. So make sure you create that binding, go to your graph, and then again, the first thing we want to do in here is go to our function, which we've just created over here, which as you can see here is get health bar underscore percent. And we're going to give this the name health bar underscore percentage, just like that, just so we can keep track of our functions we're creating and we know what we're working with. Now for the code itself for this, it's actually pretty straightforward. We are going to go in and we are going to cast to, so drag out from the execution pin, and we are going to cast to our character blueprint. So if you're using the third person character like I am, then you're going to be casting to the third person character. If you're casting to the first person character because you're using that template, then you can do that too. Or if you've got your own character that you've made completely by yourself, then use that. But for now, we're just going to be casting this to the player character. As the object wildcard, we're going to be dragging this out and we're going to type in get player character because this is the type of object that we're trying to communicate with. Then, as our third person character here, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to get the value of health. And we can find this by just simply searching for get health. So with that done, just go ahead and get the health. And what you could do here is you could hook it up directly into the return value. And that will automatically put whatever value in the health is into that percentage. Now though, before we do that, if we go into our design view, some of you may have noticed that our percentage actually goes from 0 to 1. So anything over 1 is actually going to be completely full. So we need to do a little bit of maths to get our health variable, which goes from 0 to 100, down to something that goes from 0 to 1. So in our graph view over here, what we're going to do is something really straightforward. What we're going to do is we are going to drag out from our health, and we're going to do float divided by float. And then if we do our health divided by the maximum value, which is 100, and then put this into the return value, this is going to work. So with that done, this should now be our functionality set up and good to go. What I'm going to do then is just go to my design view, and I'm going to close this. And what we're going to do now is actually show you how you can display this health bar on your screen. So open up your third person character. In here, what we're going to do is find some nice empty bit of space here. We're going to right click, and we're going to search for event begin play. And basically what this is going to allow us to do is trigger an action when the player begins to play. In this case, what we want to do is put the user interface on straight away. So we are going to drag out, and we're going to create a widget. And the class for this is going to be our HUD. And what this is essentially going to do is load the HUD widget, or whichever widget you choose here, and put it onto the memory. Now with this, in addition to loading it onto the memory, we also have to drag out from the return value and then add this to the viewport so the player can then see this. If we go ahead and hit compile and close this and press play, you can see that our health bar is now displayed in the bottom left hand corner of our screen there, which is awesome. And let's just go ahead and test that this works. So if we go to our third person character, double click on this to open it up, and then we set our health to 50 by clicking on the variable and setting the default value to 50, we should see the health bar is going to be half full. So having said that, I can see that when I keep making these changes, let's go to 35 this time, we can see that it's going to go up and down as we need it to, which is perfect, which means our health bar functionality is working exactly as we should. So having said that, let's move on to the last part of this tutorial, where we're going to be taking a look at how we can stylize this health bar to make it look like something in the reference that I have provided you guys with. So to do this, what we're actually going to need to do is take that assets folder that we have, and then we are going to import all of those images into the engine. So what we're going to do is right click in the content browser, and we're going to give ourselves a new folder and give this the name UI assets. We're then going to open this up, so double click on it to open it up. And then what we're going to do is find our assets folder. I've got that here on my screen. And what I'm going to do is simply take my health bar and my health bar fill, so fill and background, and then I'm going to click these and then drag and drop them into the engine and into the content browser to import those, which is really nice and straightforward. Once we've done that, what we're also going to do is take some of these other images here and also import those into this same folder, because I'm going to be challenging you guys to follow along with this tutorial and also make an energy bar as well. But not right now, let's just focus on the health. So we've got the images we need. Now what we need to do is go to blueprints, heads up display, and then we are going to select our health bar here. What we're going to do is go to style. The first image it's asking for is a background image. So we can actually expand this. And then in the image in the drop down, we can search for our health bar background that we just imported. We're also going to set our margin to 0, so there's no margins on this. And that's us done with our background image. What it's now going to want is a fill image. So we're going to go to image, and we're going to search for health bar underscore fill. Margin 0. And if we zoom in, you can now see it's starting to take the shape of my health bar that we've got. But we have got one issue here. It is currently blue. So if we go to down here in our details and go to our appearance, we need to set our fill color and opacity to white. So set this to 1, 1, and 1, just like that. And this is just going to stop there from being any kind of tint on this. Now with this, we have now got our health bar set up and good to go. If we go ahead and hit compile, press play, you can see our health bar is looking exactly how we want it to. So that is all good. We now know how to stylize our health bar. And that pretty much concludes this section of the tutorial. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to be moving on to a challenge where we're going to be taking what we learned as part of this video and creating an energy bar. And I really want you guys to take a little bit of independence as you do this and go completely wild with all of the different elements that you add to your heads-up display. I'm going to be showing you how to add the energy bar, and then we're also going to be showing you how to add the name and a picture and all of that good stuff. So we're taking what we learned and then we're adding a few little bits more to it and just really creating something that looks nice. So with that, if we go ahead and open up our heads-up display, what we're going to do in here is we're actually going to take our health bar and we are going to be creating another one. We can do this by holding down Control-C to copy this and then Control-V to paste this, and it's actually going to give us another one of those, which is perfect. And with this one, we can actually give this the name Energy Bar. And as you can see there, I'm just doing that in the details panel in the top right hand corner. With that done, again, just make sure your anchor is to the bottom left, but because you have actually kept or copied the health bar, it is going to do that for us. With our background image, we're going to be searching for our energy bar background. And then for our fill image, we're going to be setting this to energy bar fill. And as you can see there, it's now gone this really cool funky color, which is awesome. Then with our percentage, just check that this works, so just turn it up and down just like that. And as you can see, our energy is filling up, which is perfect. What we're then going to do is go over to our binding, and we're going to be creating a binding for the energy. But we don't have a variable for that just yet. So let's go ahead and move over to exactly where we can do this. We can do this in our third person character. We're going to add a new variable, and we're going to give this the name energy. For the variable type, I'm sure you guys can guess what this is going to be. It is going to be a float. So go ahead and set that, compile it so you can change it, and set this to the value of 50, just so we can test this. Now, if we go back to our heads-up display widget, we can now go in and we can create this binding. So go down to details, progress, percentage, and then create binding. Make sure you give your function the name, which we're going to do. So right click on your functions and get energy bar percentage, right click on that, rename it and give it the name energy bar underscore percentage. Perfect. And now what we need to do is the same thing we did earlier, which is cast to the third person character or whatever your character blueprint is. Set the object wildcard to get player character because that's the type of object this is. And then we are simply going to get our energy. And what we're going to do from here is float divided by float. And then we are going to be dividing the energy by 100 to get it down to a value where it's going to be going from 0 to 1 instead of 0 to 100. And then we're going to hook this up to our return value. Go ahead and hit compile and then close this. And if we press play, you can now see our energy bar is half full, which is perfect. That means we very quickly created an energy bar for ourselves that is going to work alongside the health, which is awesome. So with that done, let's take this one step further. Let's go ahead and start to bring this heads-up display to life. I'm going to just move my two objects here, and I'm actually going to be putting in a character image. So I'm going to go to Image, and then what I'm going to be looking for, if I just minimize that for a second, open up my UI assets, I'm going to be looking for Profile Picture. And then what I'm going to do is go to my brush and set my brush for this image to this profile picture. I need to anchor this to the bottom left-hand corner so it stays down there. And then I'm just going to zoom in nice and close and then just scale this as I need to, just like that. With that done, I can then place my health bar and my energy bar as I need to, which is awesome. And with your health and energy bar, what you might have to do is just sort of scale these so that they fit alongside your images. But the main thing is, you guys should be able to start seeing now that we're very easily able to start bringing our heads-up display to life by using images and health bars and all of that good stuff. So, we now know how to do that. Let's go ahead and add a couple more bits. So we're going to add a little background for the name. So go to Image, set this to Name Background, and again, anchor it to the bottom left-hand corner, and then we can just go in and do that. Awesome. And what you can also do with this, if you have a character name, you could go ahead and give this the name anything you like. I'm going to give this the name Virtus. And now we've got our health bar with the name Virtus. Awesome. That's looking really, really great. That's it for this video. By now you should have a health bar set up with all of your functionality and styling. Don't forget, I'd really love to see all of the awesome work that you guys have done, so make sure you share it over in our Discord server. Also, if you want to support more videos just like this, be sure to check out our Patreon, the link is in the description. But for now guys, as always, stay awesome, keep creating. Virtus, signing out.